For centuries, history has been written not by the collective, but by those who held the pen. And when men became the historians, women became the forgotten. Beneath the ashes of libraries burned, under the soil of temples desecrated, lie the stories of women who once held the world together. Healers, astronomers, priestesses, and midwives. Before medicine became an institution, healing was an art, sacred, intuitive, and deeply connected to the cycles of life. In ancient Egypt, there was Peseshet, known as the Lady Overseer of Healers. She trained women physicians nearly 4,000 years ago, during a time when the knowledge of the body was considered divine. Healing wasn't a profession. It was a calling, a dialogue between the human spirit and the earth itself. Across the sea in Greece, there was Metrodora, a physician whose writings on women's diseases predated many male medical texts. Her book on the diseases and cures of women became foundational to later medical understanding, though her name would vanish from most records for centuries. Her words survived in fragments, stripped of authorship, as if history itself were embarrassed to admit that a woman once held such wisdom. In medieval Italy, another name flickered in the dark: Trotula of Salerno. She led one of the world's earliest medical schools and treated women with empathy, seeing their bodies not as shameful but as sacred. She wrote about fertility, childbirth, and pleasure, topics that were later banned, buried, or rewritten by men who claimed her discoveries as their own. And so the pattern began. One by one, women's voices were erased, manuscripts copied and reattributed, statues never built, knowledge rebranded as male discovery. The healer became invisible, until all that remained was the myth that women had never been there at all. Then came the witch hunts, the greatest silencing of women's knowledge in history. From the 15th to 17th centuries, countless women were accused, tortured, and killed, often for nothing more than understanding herbs, assisting births, or living independently. The midwife became the witch. The herbalist became the threat. The woman who knew nature became the woman to fear. What society truly feared was her connection to power that did not require permission, a power rooted in intuition, creation, and the body's wisdom. The same wisdom that Peseshet, Metrodora, and Trotula had once honored. The persecution of witches was not about magic. It was about control. It was about cutting women off from the sacred intelligence that flowed through their hands and hearts. By burning women, society burned its connection to the earth. By silencing them, it silenced half of its memory. And what happens when a species forgets half of itself? It loses balance. It loses harmony. It loses soul. But memory, like nature, always finds a way to return. Their names whisper through time: Metrodora, Peseshet, Trotula, Hildegard of Bingen. Women who studied plants, stars, and the spirit long before men declared such knowledge their domain. They remind us that the feminine once held authority, not through domination, but through creation. To heal was to remember that the body was not sinful, it was sacred architecture. The womb was not weakness, it was the original temple. The earth was not inert matter, it was a living organism. These women understood that healing wasn't about conquering the body, but listening to it. Not about controlling nature, but aligning with it. And though their names were buried, their lineage lives on, in the women who care, who create, who remember. Every time a woman trusts her intuition, every time she chooses compassion over power, she resurrects the wisdom that was nearly lost. They tried to erase the feminine from history, but what is sacred cannot be destroyed, only forgotten. And now, we remember.